Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Prime News. We got a jam-packed show for you yet again today. And the very first piece of news we're going to be talking about deals with Minecraft on Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4 and Sony. So if you remember, yesterday we did a standalone video about how Sony is now supporting crossplay when it comes to Fortnite. And it should be in beta as of today. However, what's interesting here is that it's only one game, and Microsoft is now speaking out in an interview with IGN. A representative decided to talk about the possibility of Minecraft and crossplay between Switch, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. Here's what he had to say. We believe in giving gamers the opportunity to play the games they want, with the people they want. Whether that means working with our partners to deliver cross-network play with games like Rocket League and Fortnite, or enabling cross-device play with the likes of Minecraft. We are supportive of new scenarios that enable more people to play and have fun together while gaming. We would love to bring players on PlayStation 4 into our Minecraft ecosystem as well, but have nothing further to share at this time. So we know that Sony is slow rolling out this whole crossplay thing, and we're just going to have to wait for more information. But at this point, I gotta say this is at least a step in a positive direction. Microsoft is still reaching out about Minecraft, and hopefully there can be a solution, and Sony doesn't hold the fact you need an Xbox Live account against Microsoft because, well, it is Microsoft's game. And while PlayStation 4 owners have been getting updates, they haven't gotten the Better Together update, which is a massive graphics update along with all the crossplay stuff. So we just have to wait and see, and hopefully by the end of the year, we're talking positively about how games like Rocket League, Fortnite, Minecraft, and any other crossplay game are now fully functioning with the PlayStation 4 install base. Moving on, the internet is kind of ablaze a bit when it comes to the Game Awards coming out in December. For those who don't know, the Game Awards is a show hosted by Jeff Keighley every single December that hands out a bunch of awards and usually has a bunch of new game trailers, new game announcements. It's sort of like a mini E3 as you have awards packed in with new announcements, and Nintendo's been a massive part of the Game Awards from day one. And it appears it's going to be no different this year, as Reggie Fils-Aime is going to be part of the festivities, pretty much like he is every year. He's always given a speech. When he gave the speech about the passing of Satoru Iwata, he's been on there as a presenter. He's been on there as announcing new games, accepting awards. Reggie Fils-Aime is basically a staple of the Game Awards every single year, and thus Nintendo, who is on the board that helps represent the Game Awards, has had a major role every time. And I don't believe there's been a single Game Awards where Nintendo hasn't shown something. Now, it started back in 2014 when they unveiled the first ever direct gameplay of Breath of the Wild, which we didn't even know what it was called then. And they did the same thing the following year. And last year was really special because they announced Bayonetta 3. Well, the reason the internet's abuzz right now isn't so much that Reggie's going to be involved in the festivities, but rather a particular shirt Reggie was wearing in a recent tweet by Jeff Keighley. If you'll notice, Reggie is wearing a shirt that is clearly from Metroid. In particular, it looks like the Metroid Prime logo. In addition to that, Jeff Keighley in his tweet said, "See you in December." Now, is this cryptic messaging coming from Reggie Fils-Aime on unveiling the Metroid Prime 4 gameplay trailer at the Game Awards? It is entirely possible that's the case. I think it's more reasonable to expect Bayonetta 3. However, Reggie has done something like this before and it ended up being a little bit of a disappointment. So before the Game Awards hosted by Jeff Keighley existed, there was a different Game Awards show that was hosted by Spike TV, and Jeff Keighley was the host of that one as well, but there was a lot of mainstream media involvement that made it not feel as grandiose as it probably should have. And during one of the very last one of those awards, it might have even been the final year, Reggie Fils-Aime was on the show and he was wearing a little Metroid pin. And we hadn't heard any news on Metroid for a while, and so people got really, really excited, and all he had to unveil was Cranky Kong being added to Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze on Wii U. The addition of Cranky Kong is amazing, but teasing with the Metroid pin and then unveiling that just felt a little disingenuous. So it's possible that Reggie's just doing that again, saying, hey, look, we know we've already announced the Metroid game, so whatever, I want to wear a Metroid shirt. I'm a big Metroid fan. Or it's possible that he learned his lesson from the tease last time and said, look, we're going to throw little teasers out there here and there on social media, starting with this, that, yeah, we're dropping that Metroid Prime 4 trailer at the Game Awards. Again, this is all speculation and people overhyping themselves, of course. Nintendo has always had a strong presence at the Game Awards, so I think you should be excited as a Nintendo fan anyways, especially if you're a fan of something like Bayonetta 3 coming out, or Metroid Prime, or whatever Nintendo might have in the works, because this is usually the last event of the year Nintendo does any sort of unveiling of new gameplay, new games, so I can't wait to see whatever they decide to show, and it better be Metroid Prime 4, or I just got trolled again. In other news, Castlevania Requiem was kind of sort of teased by an ESRB rating in another country as only coming to PlayStation 4, and people were kind of getting excited because just because that's what an ESRB rating says, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to come to Switch. And obviously we have Castlevania characters, 2 major Castlevania characters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. These are older Castlevania games that are kind of being remastered and brought anew again, and this made a lot of Nintendo fans kind of getting jittery, being like, okay, maybe Nintendo's going to do their own thing, right? They're going to announce it in Nintendo Direct or something like that. Or maybe this would be the big news at the Game Awards. Well, it turns out that it appears that Castlevania Requiem, which is, you know, older games remastered for today, is going to be PlayStation exclusive. Here is what Konami had to say about this little game. Relive the timeless classics like never before, thanks to Konami's partnership with Sony Interactive Entertainment Worldwide Studios to create these high-quality ports. So yes, folks, they partnered with Sony for these ports to be made. I don't know if Sony's paying for timed exclusivity, if Sony's paying just for the entire development of the games. Maybe Sony's just a publisher. And what's interesting is if Sony is publishing the games, they probably aren't going to come to Switch because Sony would have to okay the republishing of these games on Switch. So yeah, it's very, very interesting to think about. And while it's a little disappointing, there is a friend of mine, a fellow YouTuber, I guess you can call him a Nintendo YouTuber, OJ from Player Essence, went on Twitter and tried to assure me that maybe our worries that this game isn't coming to Switch are not, you know, founded in actual facts, even though the facts are kind of here that it is going to PlayStation 4 only. Here's what he had to say. This iteration is for PlayStation 4. I still have info. These games, and potentially more, are coming to Switch. Be patient, guys. So this could hint at timed exclusivity, or it could hint at like a new version of the game. You know, like when we got Ultra Street Fighter 2 Ultimate on Switch, that's technically a new exclusive version of Street Fighter 2, not the same version any other system has. So it's possible that there could be some version of this game coming to Switch, and it was possible regardless of what OJ said. However, I do have to kind of step back off of this a little bit because the only facts we know are that Sony partnered for these games to be made. This does not preclude any other Castlevania games coming, of course. We're not talking about any other Castlevania games coming. We're talking about Castlevania Requiem coming. And, well, I'm not going to say I don't trust OJ and I don't trust his sources. Honestly, I can't verify OJ or verify his sources, even if I wanted to, because they're his sources. I'm not going to contact OJ and be like, hey, give me the proof that your sources are legitimately connected to Konami in some way, a company out of Japan. I have doubts that his sources are legit, but I can't prove they're like not legit. I can't prove they are legit. And he's sometimes right when it comes to claiming he has sources, and he's sometimes wrong, and he doesn't really address right or wrong generally anyways. He just kind of moves on because, well, I mean, information's always flying around behind the scenes. Sometimes intentional misinformation's flying around as well. I do think it would be weird for there to be no Castlevania games to ever come on Switch after including 2 of the major characters in Smash. However, it's not unheard of. When we got Snake from the Metal Gear Solid series, we didn't really get a new Metal Gear game on a home console at that time. The inclusion was kind of justified because of a 3DS game that had come out before. But I don't know. This is one of those situations where I'm just going to kind of take a step back and say, look, the facts as we know it today, that this game is coming only to PlayStation 4, and who knows about future Castlevania games down the line. Today is also an exciting day for Fortnite fans, even on Switch, because Season 6 drops today, and each season is usually a big event when it comes to Fortnite. It's almost like a major patch, a major upgrade, a major DLC release, except this is a free-to-play game. And you know what? Here you go. Have a look at the, I don't know, about 50-ish second launch trailer. In addition to this trailer, we do know that there's going to be new backpacks that have pets in them, something called shadow stones, and a bunch of new locations on the map that might make the map feel completely refreshed, completely brand new. I honestly have not dove into Season 6 yet. I might do so maybe later tonight. We'll see. At this point, I'll just say that as someone who does enjoy playing Fortnite, I'm excited to see what these changes are, and who knows, maybe I'll be battling against several of you guys on this new season. So apparently around 22-ish years ago, Nintendo had a different VR system in the works. And you guys might remember Virtual Boy, that system that had to stand on like a tripod on your table, and you like kind of looked into it like goggles, and it was all red, and there was like, I don't know, 22-ish games I think released on that in total, and all this crazy stuff. Virtual Boy is kind of a relic of the past, a failed attempt at virtual reality back in the 90s. Well, here's the deal. It appears that there was a completely different system in the works by Nintendo, and this system would have been what we essentially call modern virtual reality. That's right, Nintendo could have been at the forefront of virtual reality technology, but for various reasons it was shut down. Now this information comes from an article on a website, so I'm going to be reading the quotes from this from the person who worked on the system, and I'll link to the source down in the description, so let's just jump into it. Jeremy Sands is someone who worked on the supervision for Nintendo before Gunpei Yokoi canceled the project in favor of the Virtual Boy, which his team actually referred to the Virtual Dog because of how bad they felt the Virtual Boy was. The supervision was apparently much more powerful than the Virtual Boy. It had full color, had head tracking, and it was technically almost finished. Once Nintendo canned it, they did try to partner with Hasbro on a system called Toaster, but that system failed to launch. He does feel that Nintendo and eventually Hasbro shied away from the technology back then because there was a fear of what this stuff could do to your health. In particular, the fact that it would cut off the entire vision space while being mounted on your head. This could lead to people accidentally tripping and falling, maybe having a knife and cutting themselves and falling downstairs, and neither company wanted to deal with the lawsuits that could be part of this from, well, the 90s. He does go on to note that the system was very much kind of like the Oculus and Vive today. He said obviously the Oculus and Vive have much higher quality screen technology compared to what was even available in the 90s. But he does say that really a lot of the innovations we see today are things that were already present on the supervision back then. So Nintendo could have actually been at the forefront of this, just like they could have also partnered with Sony and had this mega system in the works eventually down the line. Unfortunately, both of those things fell through, and Gunpei Yokoi went with a system he felt would probably lead to less lawsuits, and we know the Virtual Boy utterly tanked. Now, we don't know if supervision would have been too far ahead of its time. After all, the adaptation rate of things like Oculus, even with the new Quest version, which is completely wireless and doesn't require a computer, is amazing and awesome. And then you have the headsets you can stick your phone into. All of that sounds great, but at the end of the day, virtual reality has still had a slow adoption rate. But maybe if the supervision, existed back then, where technology could be today might be even further ahead of the curve. Unfortunately, the supervision died at the hands of Nintendo and Hasbro, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles. That being said, I want to thank all you guys for tuning into this episode of Prime News. I am your host, Nathaniel Rumpel-Jantz from Nintendo Prime. And if you liked the video, you know what to do. Hit that like button. If you didn't like the video, I guess hit that dislike button. If you love what we do here at Nintendo Prime, be sure to hit that subscribe button over there. Maybe even that bell icon to kind of maybe ensure you get notifications. Again, YouTube kind of needs to sort out a way to ensure you can get notifications. I have the bell icon hit on channels like Philip DeFranco, and I still don't get notifications. So cool. I guess you got to seek us out. Maybe that's why Nintendo Prime is the #1 search term people find our videos with, because they're not getting notified even though they're being subscribed. Thanks, YouTube. All right, folks. That's going to do it. I'm going to catch all of you guys in the next one. Yes.